खण्डन भव बन्धन जगबन्धन वन्दितो नेरा जन रूप धर नेरा जन रूप धर निष्कारण कदशरण त्यजे जाते फूल पद भवदोष्पद पारेयथा प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन प्रेमार्पण समदर्शन जग जन दुःख नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनादित नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनादित प्रभु मनोवचनै आधार ज्योतिर्ज्योतिर्भुजल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योतिर्भुजल हृदय कंदर तुम्ही तमो भजन प्रभु तुम्ही तमो भजन नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनादित नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्यमनादित मनोवचनैकाधा प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधा ज्योतिर्ज्योतिर्भुजल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योतिर्भुजल हृदय कंदर तुम्ही तमो भजन प्रभु तुम्ही तमो भजन धिलंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग रंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग गायचे छंद भक्तरंद आरती तोमा गायचे छंद भक्तरंद आरती तोमा जय जय आरती तोमा हर हर आरती तोमा शिव शिव आरती तोमा खंडन भव बंधन जग बंधन वंदे तोमा जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी के जय। ॐ ह्रीं ऋतं त्वमचलो गुणजे गुणेड्यः नक्तं देवं सकरुणं तव पादपद्मम् मोहङ्कषं बहुकृतं न भजे यतोऽहं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो भक्तिर्भगश्च भजनं भवभेदकारे गच्छन्त्यलं सुविपुलं गमनाय तत्त्वं वक्त्रोद्धृतोऽपि हृदये न मे भाति किञ्चित् तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो तेजस्तरं ते तरसा त्वयि तृष्णाः रागे कृते ऋतपथे त्वयि राम कृष्णे मर्त्यामृतं तव पदं मरणोर्मे नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो कृत्यं करोति कलुषं कुहकान्तकारे स्नान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ यस्मादहं त्वशरणो जगदेकगम्या तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानां शक्ति भूते सनातने गुणाशये गुणमये नारायणे नमोस्तुते। शरणागत दीनार्त परित्राण परायणे सर्वस्यार्थे हरे देवी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। जय 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 महामाये की जय। जय भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय। जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय। प्रकृतिं परमां अभयां वरदां नररूपधरा जनतापहरा शरणागत सेवकतोषकरीं प्रणमामि परा जननीं जगता गुणहीन सुता अपराधयुता कृपयाद्य समुद्धर मोहगता तरणीं भवसागरपारकरीं प्रणमामि परा जननीं जगता विषयं कुसुमं परिहृत्य सदा चरणाम्बुरुहा मृतशान्तिसुधा पिबभृङ्गमनो भवरोगहरा प्रणमामि परा जननीं जगताम् कृपां कुरु महादेवी सुतेषु प्रणतेषु च शरणाशयदानेन कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं शारदे ज्ञानदायिके पापेभ्यो नः सदा रक्ष कृपामयि नमोऽस्तु ते रामकृष्णगतप्राणां तन्नाम श्रवणप्रियां तद्भाव रञ्जिताकारां प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः देवीं प्रसन्ना प्रणतात्रिहन्त्रीं योगेन्द्रपूजा योगधर्मपात्रीं तां शारदां भक्ति विज्ञानदात्रीं दयास्वरूपां प्रणमामि नित्यं स्नेहेन बध्नाति मनोस्मदीयं दोषान् शेषान् सगुणीकरोषि आहेतुनानो दयसे सदोषा स्वाङ्के गृहीत्वा यदिदं विचित्रं प्रसीद मातर्विनयेन याचे नित्यं भव स्नेहवती सुतेषु प्रेमैकविन्दुं चिरदग्धचित्ते विषिञ्च चित्तं कुरु न सुशान्तं जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोषित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः।
Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraya Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swami Tapaharine. So we return again after a not so short but not too long gap. We were discussing this lecture of Vivekananda in one of his Jnana Yoga lectures called God in Everything. And in the previous discussion, he had illustrated the fact that it's only the person who is watching without coveting who really enjoys. And he had illustrated this by this example where somebody has gone to a place where there's an auction going on, and so the person who is there, who is not interested in buying or selling, actually enjoys the pictures that are there or whatever is there for sale. Whereas any other person who either wants to buy a particular piece, he is worried and is tense that the price and the call keeps on rising. And those who are in charge of the auction are apprehensive that the thing is going to go out for less of a price than what one paid. So it's only the person who is disinterested, who has just gone there without interest in buying or selling, who enjoys the pictures. So this was the illustration given. And I think we had, it's something, this is not just something that is abstract, it's relevant to us. Suppose we see these days, suppose somebody has gone to the mountains, let's say for a vacation, and then we see this grand vista of the mountains in front of us. The joy and peace that that gives us is something that is abiding, something that is very real, at least for the moment. Whereas, given our proclivity towards using our mobiles and the camera there, our instinct very often says, oh, let's take a picture of this. What we are trying to do is capture this vast vista, which is at this very moment furnishing us with what we desire most, namely this joy and peace. Instead of that, we are trying to capture this in a little photo in the hope that later on it's going to give us satisfaction. If you think about it, it's a very silly enterprise, because what we are seeking is this joy and satisfaction, and here, where it is there right in front of us, a source of joy and satisfaction, what do we want to do? We want to capture it in one maximum, say, 6 inches by 6 inches photo, and hope that this photo is going to give us satisfaction at some future date. Which means we leave the satisfaction at hand to seek some uncertain satisfaction in the future. And at that point of time, when we are seeing these vast mountains, if you've been to the Himalayas, you know what I'm talking about. At that moment, when you see this vastness which was there long before we were here on this planet, which will continue to be long after we are gone, that satisfaction that it provides of something permanent, something completely silent and peaceful, and the consequent joy that it brings, if you look at that point of time, with the mind for the moment hushed, without desiring to possess, it's not possible for us as individual human beings to possess personally these vast mountains. Even more close to us, suppose some particular dark night, when it's probably, hopefully not raining, you look up at the vast skies, and there is this shushing of the eternal agitation of the mind, and that vastness instills in you this feeling of satisfaction or joy without interference of this cogitative faculty. You know what I mean. And at that point of time, do we desire to possess this sky? In front of the mountains, do we desire to possess these vast mountains? We know instinctively that's not possible. But at the same time, the feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of joy, peace it brings, is something that's incontrovertible. You can't argue about it because you feel it instinctively and at the moment, without something to be argued about. It's a purely subjective experience. And people who are sensitive to it would immediately understand that a person is in a state of ineffable joy at that moment. What is happening is that these few instances, and we can multiply these instances, are moments when our usual habit of trying to catch hold of something, or basically trying to tell ourselves, oh, we have to do such and such a thing, we have to go to such and such a place, this source of agitation in the mind is hushed for the moment, and the immediate reaction is this unqualified peace and joy. And we understand that this really is what we seek in and through every action of ours. This is where we had stopped. Just today we were reading what's called the Upodghat Bhashya, which means the introductory Bhashya of the second chapter of the Mundak Upanishad. And I would like to quote from Shankara's Bhashya there, because in a certain sense, this is exactly the point that he is emphasizing. And these instances can be multiplied. So let me just, before getting into Shankara, let me just mention this, and then we'll get back to Shankara, and then finally get back to Vivekananda. So, for instance, if you are absorbed in a piece of music, just some time back, there is this great singer who passed away relatively recently, Malini Rajurkar. So there's one particular piece by her, some Rag Hamir, which has been put up there. And you listen to one of these great pieces by these great musicians, and at some point of time your mind is completely absorbed. At that point of time, the joy that the music provides and the subject that enjoys it that difference for the time being is removed. In the lives of great scientists, when they tell us about the moment of discovery, it's as if nature has unveiled a bit of herself, and you have actually had an opportunity to peek into the great structure that builds this natural world around us. So, independent of whether one is a scientist, an artist, or an ordinary human being, this experience of being in direct contact with the vast, with the undivided, so to speak. Bhumaiva Sukham is what the Chandogya says. It is something that all of us feel. And we usually forget that experience and go our merry ways in seeking, without our knowing, consciously or unconsciously, that source of joy. What this analytical method, this Jnana Yoga, teaches us is to focus precisely on these few instances of joy and peace combined, and understand that it is this that we are seeking, but as a permanent possession, not as something that comes and goes. So not as something that is dependent on the mental state, but as something that is permanent, not qualified by time, not qualified by events in space. Having said that, this second chapter of the Mundaka Upanishad. So the first chapter is the one in which there's this famous passage. It says, Dve Vidye Veditavye Paracha Eva Aparacha. It's in a related but somewhat differently phrased question. So Shaunak, this is this great householder who used to conduct various sacrifices. He asked this question, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvam Idam Vignatam Bhavati Iti. Kasmin, knowing what? Kasmin Nu Bhagavo, revered sage, knowing what? Sarvam Idam, all this that I know, all these fragmented little things that I know, all of, and this which I desire to know, all of it becomes known in and through what? Knowing what indeed is all this known. What is important is all this is something like all kinds of objective facts, things that are there as an object of our knowledge. And he's asking basically, not knowing in the sense of knowing individual things one by one and knowing all of them. What one is asking is this dissatisfaction that we have about not being able to understand, not being able to know. By knowing what does this get completely satisfied? Again, it is through this process of wanting to know is called jigyasa, jnatum ichcha, desire to know. What it creates in us is a dissatisfaction. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to know. And what is the question that he's asking here? It's basically the universal knowledge, that universal principle of knowledge. That's the question that is asked. And the immediate answer that is given is that there are two kinds of vidyas, two kinds of knowledge. Paracha eva aparacha. So that means there's a supreme one, para, and there's a lesser one, apara. And then he starts describing what is this apara vidya. He starts off with Rig Veda. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, all the four Vedas, then the 6 Vedangas, all that we regard as various disciplines, including things to which the Indian tradition applies some sacredness. The Upanishad declares them all as lesser. All of them as lesser. Then what is para? And then it says, Atapara yaya, by means of which tat aksharam adhigamyate. That akshara means kshara is that which changes. Akshara is the unchanging. So that vidya, that method of enquiry, that means of knowledge, through which that unchanging is known, that unchanging reality is known. As what? And that's where Shankara comes in, as not different from the essence of one's own being. If it was something different, then it would come and go. But that which I am in essence, without a doubt, is something nobody can possibly take away from me. Which means that knowledge does not come, this knowledge does not come with the fear of forgetfulness. Oh, someday I'll forget this knowledge and it will go away from me. No. Then, what if my brain cells start becoming weaker? Then I will no longer be able to retain this knowledge. No, that fear is not there. Why? Because one has known that it is not different from one's very being. That is the akshara. And so, what is being said here is that this question of yours, kasminnu bhagavo vignate sarvamidam vignatam bhavati iti, is to find that universal principle of knowledge in your own being and understand that this being itself is the same as the principle of knowledge, and then it no longer is my limited being. So my being is concomitant, coexistent with this principle of knowledge itself. And once that is there, then it cannot be qualified by these little fragmentary pieces of knowledge that we get through our eyes, ears, etc., etc. This is the answer that is being given, but in brief. And Shankara elaborates on that, and I'll read this because it's very lyrical. Tatra aparavidya vishayaha karti adi sadhana kriyaphala bheda rupaha samsara anadihi ananto dukkha swarupatvat hatavya pratyekam shariribhi samastyena nadishroto vat avyavacheda rupa sambandha. So what is this aparavidya? And he gives a very short summary of it. Kartri adi sadhana kriyaphala bheda rupaha. That means anything that we do, any place where we act, there is the subject, which is the doer, there is the work that is being done, and there is a consequence of that work in terms of some fruit. So, for example, I feel thirsty, I want to drink some water, I go there and drink it, so that what? This uneasiness, this thirst that is there, is quenched. So which means in and through all our little actions, there is this trichotomy that is all pervasive. There is the doer, there is the action, there is the fruit of that action, and in all our day-to-day life, it is this trichotomy, this triad, which is driving us on and on and on. And we do not pause to see what is really at the foundation of all these actions we perform. And what Shankara points out here, this is what samsara is. What does samsara mean? Literally, Sanskrit is a precise language. There are various connotations that are imposed. But if we want to get at the real meaning of the word, then go into the word itself. Sam is for samyak in its real form. Sarati, that which moves. Samyak sarati iti samsaraha. This is the Vyasavakya, the samasa. That means that which keeps on moving, keeps on changing, is what samsara is. And our participation in that is through this attitude of ours that we act, perform something, there is an action, there is a reaction which we call the fruit, which we covet, and sometimes there's an action and then there's a fruit which we do not covet and we want to avoid it. This attitude of the mind of acting, expecting a reaction, is precisely how we engage with that which is constantly changing. This engagement is the subjective dimension of samsara. That is why the world in our minds, the world in our eyes is constantly changing. I have to move from here to there to eat dinner. I have to go there and take a bath to clean myself, etc., etc., etc. These are these little actions which guide our day-to-day life. But then, none of this gives permanent satisfaction. And hence what? Anadi ananta dukkha swarupatvat hatavya. Dukkha here does not mean just suffering. It means dissatisfaction. It is this lack of satisfaction. Once I eat, yes, the food is going to go in. It is going to satisfy my hunger for the time being. But again, tomorrow morning, there will be this strange sensation in my stomach. I call it hunger. Which means all these individual actions that we do to appease our wants are never ceasing. At least as long as we are alive. And hence, hatavya. Hatavya means to be forsaken. This word, please mind, is something that Vivekananda is going to elaborate upon in this God in Everything, the lecture. We'll come back to that after some time. Hatavya does not mean giving up and saying, okay, that means all right, do I have to sit in my room and fast to death? That's not what it means. Yeah. So what it exactly means is going to be elaborated by Vivekananda in this God in Everything. But for the time being, let's complete Shankara. So what is the opposite? And so before that, Samastyena Nadi Shrotavat Vyavacheda Avyavacheda Rupa Sambandha. Which means basically just like a river. Yeah, this river of life keeps flowing, keeps changing. This is our engagement with the world, with this change. Yeah? And it's a constantly changing entity, Samyak Sarati, Samsara, and therefore there is no permanent satisfaction. The emphasis is on permanent. This really is the meaning. I mean, there are various, I think, modern pseudo-interpretations of this expression Jagat Mithyatva, and most of it is based on these connotations without going to the root of the word. Jagat is, as we said, Jagat also has the same meaning. Samyak Sarati Samsara, Jagat is Gamyate iti Jagat. That which moves is Jagat. That which is impermanent is Jagat. And now, what is one asking? Sat, Satya. Yeah? Opposite of Mithya, Satya. What is Sat? That which is true. How is that understood? How is that defined in Vedanta? It is defined as that which is Trikala Badhita. It is not qualified by time, timeless. This is the quality of truth. And if something is timeless, then how can it change with respect to time? So almost in terms of a linguistic tautology, that which moves, that which changes, cannot be something that is unchanging with respect to time. Changeful cannot be changeless. It's, if you finally want to boil it down, Jagat Mithyatva just means this little obvious statement, that which is changeful cannot be changeless. That's it. Yeah? And this is elaborated upon, but it's supposed to give rise to this understanding of what we call the world. And most of the problems really lie in trying to translate from a precise language into a language where the word has only a translation only in terms of its usual connotation. So when we say Jagat, if you want to translate it into English, or Samsara, and you want to translate it into English, typical word that we use is world. Yeah? But it hardly has the real etymological meaning, and that's lost in translation. And therefore all this misunderstanding and vast polemical texts written on these things without actually understanding that what they are trying to say is something so completely simple and obvious as something that is changeful cannot be changeless. That's it. That's all that is that's meant, because by truth, again, what is meant is Satya, that which is unchanging. Whereas Samsara or Jagat is that which changes. Gamyate iti Jagat, that which is changing. So that which is changing is not changeless, is the only thing that is being explained here. Okay. So Nadi Shroto Vat Avyavacheda Rupa Sambandha. Yeah, so that's basically what is being said, that our usual lives, when we are engaged in this changeful world and identify ourselves with that change, then this identification with change is counter to our desire for something that is changeless, some satisfaction that will not leave us. Otherwise, we get a satisfaction, we are afraid that it's going to go away. This fear of losing is what is called anxiety. It's what leads to stress. Yeah? But if, on the other hand, we understand that there is something here which is permanent, which is not qualified by change, in particular not qualified by time, and my essential nature is not different, then nobody can take it away from me. No second entity can possibly take it away from me. Yeah? In one place, Shankara, and I think most probably in one of the places in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, says, Ishvara api sa atmana nirakartum shakyate tasya atmatvat. Yeah? Even God himself cannot eradicate this self of human beings, this self of man. Why? Tasya atmatvat. Because his essence is the same. So God's essence and our essence is the same. That's what he says in this very, very strong language. Anyway, so we have talked about change here. What is the changeless then? So we have said this Nadi Shrotavat, this changefulness is what samsara is. Then the opposite of that is its cessation. That's exactly what Shankara says. Tat upashama lakshano upashama lakshano mokshaha. See, we keep talking about freedom. I mean, all these theological doctrines, such and such is freedom, this is moksha, this is etc., etc. But what he says here is that sense of being engaged in the changeful, the cessation of that is all that moksha is, all that freedom is. Why? Because then you have been freed from this mental conditioning of being engaged in the changeful. Then almost tautologically, what has happened is that one's being has become identified with the changeless. And then fear is gone. That upashama lakshano moksha paravidya vishaya anadi, and then now he gives positive descriptions to basically get our minds focused, trying to say, this is what you were talking about, and these are the words we talk about in Anadi, Ananta, Ajaro, Amaro, Amrito, Abhaya, Shuddha, Prasanna, Swatma pratishtha lakshanaha paramananda advaya iti. It's very beautiful. Whenever Shankar talks about this discrimination, see, this is Viveka, right? This is what exactly is the impermanent, the changeful, and then what is the permanent? Tad upashama lakshana. He's not saying anything mystical, not anything in terms of theology. In some sense, it is something obvious that is being said. See, our engagement with the changeful is what brings us dissatisfaction. Then disengagement with the changeful and active engagement with the changeless is what is its upashama. That's where it ceases. And what is that? Anadi. It does not have a beginning. Why? Because you have gone to permanent, which means it is no longer qualified by time. Anadi, ananta. Neither with beginning nor with end. Ajaro. Yeah? So our bodies start degenerating with age. This does not change. Ajaro, amaro, and amara. Amara means this is what is free from death. See, we have all these Pauranic strange stories about these various asuras going and doing tapasya and then asking, oh, I want to be immortal. And then inevitably whoever comes along, either Shiva or Vishnu, says, see, that's not something that is possible. Why? Because they are asking for something that is just impossible in the nature of things. In the changeful, they want the changeless. But they are asuras after all, so they have dense heads, thick heads. So they don't understand that there is a contradiction in what they are seeking. Yeah? We want to be engaged in the changeful and we want the changeless in that. It's not possible. Not possible in any normal way of thought. Yeah? So at a certain level, it's just plain common sense. But the problem is that we have forsaken that common sense and we keep trying to seek this permanence in the impermanent. And that's what is being pointed out to us. That which should be obvious, should be logically just a simple deduction, is being pointed out to us clearly. But it is also being pointed out that, look, this is what, see, finally, even if we get an intellectual conviction, unless it is tied to or it's linked to something that we deeply covet, that deeply want, it's not going to, we will not have the drive to go towards it. That is why it is saying that not only is this logically obvious that this is an intellectual conviction, it is what? Anadi, Ananta, Ajaro, Amaro, Amrito. Yeah? That means it is not something that is subject to change, hence it is not subject to death. Amaro, Amrito, twice he says this. And then Abhayaha. Finally, fear is based on fear of losing something. And culminating in the fear that I will die. This that I call I is going to get extinguished. But if one has understood one's real nature as something that is not conditioned by time, in particular, neither born nor dies, in particular does not die, then where does the fear of death have a place to rest? The fear of death relies on this assumption that I am this changeful being, therefore I am susceptible to death. What this is saying is that once you disengage, and it is possible to disengage from this involvement subjectively, what happens? There is identity with something that is on which time rests, not something which rests in time. And therefore, what happens is that there is this essential aspect of my being which is not susceptible to death, and fear of death vanishes. Vivekananda talks about this in many places, that the cardinal message that the Upanishads give is this message of fearlessness. Fearlessness does not mean aggression and trying to go around pompously trying to scare other people. People who try to do that are bullies, and bullies are cowards. Yeah? It comes out of fear. All this anger, fear, hatred, these are our evolutionary leftovers from the time that we grew up in jungles and we were threatened by wild animals. Yeah? It's not necessary once we have evolved to this human level. And so the Upanishads have to keep telling us that the key thing that you need to cultivate is this fearlessness. Why? Because this source of fear is precisely this, that I will lose that which is most valuable to me, namely this I-ness. But then Upanishads ask, Shankara asks here, why do you think you will lose it? You think you will lose it because the reason for that is because we engage with that which is changing and mistakenly think that this is all the dimension of my I-ness is. This mistake, this mistaken way of thinking is all that we need to get rid of. This is called getting rid of ignorance. See, ignorance is not a thing. Yeah? It's just a wrong way of thinking. Yeah? Vidya. Vidya means that which is correctly, knowing correctly. Vidya is knowing wrongly. So if we know it wrongly, who is to blame? Is it going to be some 1 kilo of avidya that we are going to somehow or the other find out and burn? No. It's just a way of thinking that we have been habituated with. So we have to cultivate the opposite habit. That's all that is involved. Yeah. So let me repeat this because I'm very fond of this. Tad upashama lakshano moksha para vidya vishaya anadi ananta ajaro amaro amrito abhaya shuddha pure prasannaha. Prasanna means basically joyful but without effusion. Yeah? Prasad. Yeah? Swatma pratishtha lakshanaha. This is the swatma pratishtha, in the real nature of oneself. Pratishtha, being situated in that without any change. Yeah? Pratishtha lakshana paramananda, supreme joy, advaya, non-dual. That reality, that non-dual reality, which is the essence of one's own being established in that, trying to be established in that, is this paravidya. So it's an active endeavor, an experimental subjective science. Yeah? Not something that you get from books. Something that one just has to do oneself. Yeah? It's not some. That is why this Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, etc., are regarded as lesser. The actual traveling on that path by the individual seeker is what Paravidya is about. With this background, let's get back, and I'll read this one little, and what Vivekananda is talking about is this: how do we work then? Yeah? And he says, so do your work, says the Vedanta. It first advises us how to work by giving up. Giving up the apparent, elusive world. See, there's this expression, there's this word that was used there, hatavya. Yeah? Hatavya sarva shariri bhi. Yeah? Shankara says it there. That means it's to be given up. But what is giving up? What does that mean? That is being explained here. It is not becoming like clods of earth without working physically. That's not what is being meant. Yeah? And that's why Vivekananda explains it here. So do your work, says the Vedanta. It does not mean quitting work and sitting idly and expecting other people to fulfill one's wants. That's just a deception. Yeah? That's just being dishonest with oneself. On the other hand, what is it being said? So do your work, says the Vedanta. It first advises us how to work. The subjective attitude is all that is important. By giving up, hatavya, giving up up the apparent elusive world. Giving up this idea that there is this, the essence of this world is its changefulness. What is meant by that? And he says, here he is putting it in theistic terms, seeing God everywhere. Thus do your work. Desire to live 100 years. Have all earthly desires if you wish, only deify them. Convert them into heaven. Have the desire to live a long life of helpfulness, of blissfulness, and activity on this earth. See, helpfulness, blissfulness, and activity, not inactivity. Helpfulness, because that's what relates us with the larger reality of other existence. Automatic impact. The larger the thing, this source of dissatisfaction in oneself starts going away. Hence, blissfulness. Thus working, you will find the way out. Which means once we start working with an attempt to have this attitude. Yeah? Very simply, all our institutions, people go to an office, somebody works in a bank, somebody teaches, somebody is a doctor. These professions, what are they based on? They are basically a division of labor so that an individual with a specialized skill can be of service to a larger community. If each of us had to grow the food we eat, had to stitch the clothes we wear, and then after that, so we have to tend to our own wounds and sicknesses ourselves, then each of us would have to be a farmer, each of us would have to be a weaver, each of us would have to be a doctor. Each of us, and then if that knowledge has to be passed from one generation to another, each of us has to be a teacher. It's not possible. That's why there is this division of labor. But then, when we see this, when we understand this, this is a structure where, common sense structure in which human society has come up. But then, each activity that we do, this little specialized skill that we use, it is of relevance then to the larger society. It is not just so what society does is it gives us something which we can then use as currency to get food for ourselves. We can get clothes for ourselves. What is happening? It's this society built on division of labor, and then we have our commitment to the larger society in and through our work. So giving up the work is not being talked about. It is understanding this simple, obvious statement that the ways of human society has developed, this work that is assigned to you is not for your sake alone. This larger engagement is really a life of helpfulness. It's just that, what is the attitude with which we work? Yeah? That's where it lies. Thus working, you will find the way out. There is no other way. If a man plunges headlong into foolish luxuries of the world without knowing the truth, he has missed his footing. He cannot reach the goal. And if a man curses the world, goes into a forest, mortifies his flesh, and kills himself little by starvation, makes his heart a barren waste, kills out all feelings, and becomes harsh, stern, and dried up, that man has also missed the way. This is the misinterpretation of Hatavya. Giving up, misunderstanding what giving up means. These are the two extremes, the two mistakes at either end. One is engaging in the completely changeful and thinking this is me. The other is, oh, I shall physically give up this changefulness and hope I am changeless. What is happening in both cases? They are identifying themselves with the instrument, namely the body and the mind, which is either engaged in work or disengaged from work. That's not the point. Disengaging from this attitude that either involves or is not involved, either in rest or in motion. What is the substratum of that? Seeking that is what is asked. Yeah? Both have lost the way, both have missed the goal. Next week again I shall be away. We'll return to this the week after that. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.